Hello and welcome to Inside tonight's football's practice facility. I'm Ryan Sylvia, joined by Noah Taylor, and we are with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. And today, here on a Monday, wrapping up Chattanooga stuff and heading into a big-time matchup. Currently top 25. I kind of doubt it'll be top 25 once the AP poll comes out tomorrow after NC State's week showing against Western Carolina. But currently a top 25 matchup this weekend with NC State. We talked with Josh Heupel and then three Tennessee football players right after. Let's jump right into our thoughts. We'll start with what Josh Heupel had to say. What's your biggest takeaway?
Yeah, I think it, kind of looking towards NC State, obviously, it's Tennessee's first test. He said as much. Everybody, you mentioned it, that kind of underwhelming and kind of uninspiring performance from NC State last weekend in their opener against Western Carolina. But, a game that Josh Heupel talked about, Grayson McCall, a guy obviously that at Coastal Carolina that, was able to be elusive and kind of be all over the field. And you throw in Kevin Concepcion, who's a really good player, and two players that got better, I think, as that game went along against Western Carolina and flashed, how, effective and dangerous they can be. And Heupel said, for Concepcion especially, our defense has to be, where he's at on the field, because NC State puts him in so many different places. And obviously a huge test for Tennessee's defense that played well against Chattanooga. Obviously new pieces there in that secondary, but certainly their first test, that'll be something to look out for Saturday.
Yeah, Concepcion 3 touchdowns in that game against Western Carolina. Once again, way closer than it should have been, but it's a new week, so I'm interested to see not only how he does, but how that team responds. Justin Jolie as well, someone to look out for. Big tight end transfer out of UConn, of course. Tennessee had ties to him, and maybe kind of some interesting things and dynamics down the stretch of his recruitment out of the transfer portal, but he ends up at NC State, so maybe a meaningful game for him. And he had a good opener too with the Wolfpack, and you talked Grayson McCall there, another guy who maybe struggled in that opener but has high expectations and has proven in his career that he can play at a really high level. So Tennessee has their hands full in some regard with NC State, but it seems like Josh Heupel was satisfied with Chattanooga and how that game went, and understands the difficulty of this opponent coming up. In big news, though, my biggest takeaway from Josh Heupel, Ricky Gibson III, thumbs up, good to go. Said it was kind of more of the precautionary type of thing, it felt like. Not necessarily a game-time decision, but went through warm-ups and then decided to hold him out. You would hope that's not a guy you need in a game against Chattanooga. So they decided him and a couple other guys. I know William Wright was another guy I noticed on the sideline who went through warm-ups and then kind of just took the pads off, kept the jersey on, put on some shorts and some tennis shoes and watched from the sideline. He said there's a couple guys like that throughout that contest, but that he expects, I think he said, ready to roll, ready to go, something along those lines for Ricky Gibson III, which would be a big addition for Tennessee against NC State with a guy like Concepcion, who could, I know that's more of a slot receiver and maybe would be more of a matchup for one of the safeties or star position, but still a good addition to bring back to the table if you're Tennessee. Was Jalen McMurray getting the start? He played 32 snaps against NC State, and I thought he did a fine job, but that's another level of play when you get to Ricky Gibson III, just a sophomore, but really, really high expectations after a strong freshman season. We'll flip it to the players, though. What was your takeaway from them?
Yeah, first chance to talk to Ethan Davis since, Saturday, and a guy that tight end room in general, a lot, obviously Tennessee leans on that a lot in this offense. You've seen the way that they've used it, and they talked all offseason about just how deep they are there now. Obviously Davis being a returner, he'd been in the system now in his second year, and then you saw little Holden Stays, almost had a really nice one-handed grab there at one point. Miles Kitselman also getting out there, but Ethan Davis gets his first career touchdown in that game as part of that really explosive first quarter for Tennessee. I thought it was interesting. Obviously you get the kind of sentimental response about what it was like to get his first score in Neyland Stadium, a guy that came in with high expectations, dealt a little bit with injuries, was limited last year in a veteran room. But also, I thought it was interesting how he talked about his connection with Nico, that chemistry there that really was on full display. I think, one of the reporters in there kind of brought it up. It was looked like a pretty simple, play that was set up. Nico did have to kind of fit it in a tight window there. Yeah. A really good pass from him and a good catch from Ethan, and a little bit of a I guess, snapshot of what that tight end room is capable of. And I'm sure Tennessee obviously will lean on that and maybe throw them in a little bit more this week against certainly a bigger opponent.
If I remember that play right, it was a cover zero. You don't have that safety help, so you're playing that kind of inside leverage to try to take away Ethan Davis across the middle, and he's just such a big, physical, and fast tight end. Like he is really kind of that receiving tight end that almost just plays like a receiver at times, but he's able to kind of beat him to the inside even though he's got inside coverage against him, which I think says a lot about Ethan Davis's skill set. And then Nico fitting that ball in, that's a really nice throw as well. Ethan Davis made it maybe easier than it could have been or will be when you get to some tougher teams, but still a nice throw from Nico. On the defensive side of things, talked to Jeremiah Thielander, asked him about Keenan Peely, two guys at the middle linebacker position. Jeremiah Thielander coming off the bench and playing a lot against Chattanooga as that reserve sophomore middle linebacker. Keenan Peely played about 15 snaps, I think it was, against Chattanooga, but did a really nice job in those snaps. And Jeremiah Thielander said it makes it really easy to come into a game when the guy ahead of you is playing at such a high level. That transition onto the field does get easier. And he seemed really happy for Keenan Peely, a guy that obviously missed 12 of the 13 games last year after getting banged up in the opener against Virginia. Well, he's able to go in against Chattanooga, does a really nice job fitting runs, doing everything he needs to do, gap integrity, and kind of all those big points that they talk about at that linebacker position. It seemed like Jeremiah Thielander thought that Keenan Peely did a good job in that regard. That'll do it all from us here, though, today inside Tennessee Football's practice facility. More coming to the YouTube channel soon. Interviews tomorrow. Another stand-up. We'll have a podcast kind of recapping Chattanooga, looking ahead to NC State, giving our thoughts, looking back at our predictions for the Chattanooga game, and kind of our over-under little kind of wagers we did against each other, and then also previewing, like I said, that big-time NC State game. Also talking with JC Zembal over at Wolfpack, or the NC State rival site, to get his thoughts on the upcoming matchup. And then at VolReport.com, of course, written content throughout the entire week and on game day. So for everything you need Tennessee Athletics, we have you covered over at VolReport.com. Links to everything you need is in the description. Thank you for watching.